And what up YouTube, welcome back to a new video with Rams Fan YT. Well, that's a bit disappointing. I unfortunately contracted COVID, asymptomatic COVID, but still COVID after all, which meant that I've had to change everything. I was meant to be on an archaeological dig last week. Well, now it's going to be this week, so you know, 4 episodes in a row if you're watching from like when it's recorded. It will be 4 episodes in a row at the end of the next video. But today I want to thank everybody for the support at the moment. I had a lot of views, 66 subscribers, so 3 new subscribers in the last week. Thank you very much. But today is the history of your club, where we'll be looking at the history of Carlisle United, because that seems to have been a mainstay of the channel for quite some time now. Well, Carlisle United were originally called Shadongate United, and they were first reported in 1896 as the winners of a Carlisle Association Charity Shield, and are recorded as playing at Willow Holme in the Shadongate area of the city, which is now an industrial estate. And they wore gold and blue stripes. At the time, Carlisle Red Rose and Carlisle AFC were the preeminent clubs in Carlisle, but the new club quickly gained a following, and by the time Carlisle AFC folded in 1899, they were considered a force to be reckoned with. By 1903 they had overtaken Red Rose and were further cemented as the club's biggest club when Red Rose's entire team were banned for 4 months by the Cumberland Football Association for taking part in a Scottish amateur tournament in contravention of the league rules. A myth has persisted that Shadongate and Red Rose merged to form Carlisle United, and this likely led the club to adopt 1904 as their official date of foundation. But Red Rose continued until 1906, at which point they folded. Only in 2017 did more information about the early part of their history come to light. Well, on the 17th of May 1904, at Shadongate United's annual general meeting, the club's members voted to change the team's name to Carlisle United. The initial idea having been proposed by Newcastle United officials, who felt it would aid them when applying to regional football leagues if they represented the entire city. At the time they played at the Mill Home Bank, and later at Devonshire Park, finally setting up their current home of Brunton Park in 1909. In 1905 Carlisle United joined the Lancashire Combination, but were only admitted after agreeing to pay all visiting teams' travel expenses for 2 years, due to Carlisle not actually being located in Lancashire. After the league reorganised 4 years later, the board at United decided it did not suit the club's best interests to be there any longer, and the club entered the North Eastern League, in part in place of their reserve team, who had previously played in the league and had been a founding member. When Carlisle United's first team left to join the Football League, the reserve team resumed its place in the competition. Carlisle United were crowned as champions of the North Eastern League in 1922. The 1927-28 season was Carlisle's last in the North Eastern League. An excellent home record helped them to finish second in the table, finishing a full 10 points behind champions Sunderland's reserves team. The close season meant the usual round of applications to join and be re-elected to the Football League. Carlisle went up against Chester, Durham City, who were applying for re-election, Nelson and York City. On the 4th of June 1928, a delegation of representatives from Carlisle United took their seats as the Football League meeting in London to hear the results of the vote. Carlisle received the second most votes with 33 and replaced Durham City, who had received just 11 votes, as members of the Football League. Carlisle United won their first game in the Football League 3rd Division North with the side of Prout, Coulthard, Cook, Harrison, Ross, Pegg, Agar, Hutchinson, McConnell, Ward and Watson, beating Accrington Stanley 3-2. Their next game was played against Hartlepool United and still stands to this day as their record victory at 8-0. When the Second World War began in 1939, Carlisle United withdrew from national and regional competitions and only played local football. When the war was over, the club returned to the Football League and appointed Ivor Broadis as player manager. making him the youngest League club manager in history. He then had the distinction of becoming the first manager to transfer himself when he moved to Sunderland. He continued to live and train in Carlisle, and Broadus returned to Carlisle United in 1955 as an ex-England international at that point. In 1949, the club became the first to appoint Bill Shankly as manager. Shankly, a former player at Carlisle, later went on to manage local rivals Workington, helping them finish above Carlisle for the first time, before being appointed as manager of Liverpool in 1959. Over the next 15 years, he would guide that club to numerous trophy successes. It is at Carlisle where he met local player Jeff Twentyman, who he would later sign as head scout at Liverpool, and he also met lifelong friend Ep4-Broadus. Broadus, who was playing for Sunderland but living and training in Carlisle, once arrived late for training, and Shankly asserted that he would play for United's training rules even if he didn't play there. According to Shankly, he said to Broadus, "What do you think you're doing? Who do you think you are? If you do training that we do, you can train with us and play a 5A side, and you'll run your guts out, as an example to everyone else." Carlisle were members of the 3rd Division North until 1958, when it combined with the 3rd Division South to become the 3rd and 4th Division respectively, with them joining the 4th Division half. They remained there until 1962 when they won their first promotion. They were relegated the following season but immediately bounced back to begin the most prosperous period in the club's history. Upon gaining promotion to the 3rd Division in 1964, United immediately won the 3rd Division Championship the following year. In the period which followed, Carlisle enjoyed their greatest success outside of cup competitions. Over 12 years, the club cemented themselves as a solid 2nd Division, then 2nd tier in the English football side. Within that period, Carlisle finished 7 out of the 11 seasons in the top half of the table, including 3rd in 66-67, 4th in 70-71, and 3rd in 73-74. We saw them promoted to the top tier of English football. At the end of the 71-72 season also saw Carlisle play their only European competition in the club's history, of the Anglo-Italian Cup. And in the June 1972, they beat Roma 3-2 at Stadio Olimpico in Rome. Playing in the 1st Division for the 1974-75 season, Carlisle won their first 3 fixtures to go top of the English football pyramid, partly due to the likes of Chris Balderstone scoring the penalty which put them at the top, and Bobby Parker, who both went on to make at least 375 league appearances for Carlisle. The success was short-lived, however. They finished the season in bottom place and were relegated. Highlight victories including doing the double over Everton and home victories over eventual champions Derby County, and former title holders Ipswich Town, Arsenal, Burnley, Tottenham Hotspur and Wolverhampton Wanderers. Bill Shankly, an FA Cup and League Championship winning manager by that time, branded Carlisle's climb to the top as the greatest feat in the history of the game. I'd go that it was certainly miraculous, up there, certainly. Another relegation followed in 76-77 before returning to the 2nd Division in 1982 under Bob Stokoe. With a team including Malcolm Posket and Tommy Craig, they mounted a promotion challenge in the 83-84 season, but finished 7th after a late slump. Carlisle ended their most prosperous period as rapidly as it had started. Back-to-back relegation saw them drop into the 4th Division in 1987. Their first season there saw them finish 2nd from bottom, but 19 points ahead of relegated Newport County. In contrast, the same year they reached their FA Cup 3rd round, but were defeated by eventual champions Liverpool. The next few seasons were similarly disappointing, with Carlisle frequently finishing in the lower reaches of the 4th Division. In 1992 they finished bottom of the league but were not relegated due to being no relegation from the 4th Division that season, as well as Aldershot going out of business before the season's end. A brief respite in Carlisle's decline then came when the club was taken over by Michael Knighton, the man who had made headlines in 1989 with his failed takeover bid for Manchester United. He made the funds available for new players to be signed, and in 1994 Carlisle reached the playoffs in the recently rebranded Division 3. A year later, they narrowly avoided relegations. Although they had lost the playoffs that year, they were promoted a year later as champions, only to be relegated the following season. They achieved an instant return to Division 2 in 1997, only to go straight back down again. Knighton sold the club soon afterwards, and Carlisle entered another period of strife and struggle. In 1998-99 season, Carlisle found themselves in their second successive relegation battle and needing to gain 3 points from the final game of the season at home to Plymouth Argyle. And at 90 minutes, the crowd at Scarborough, Carlisle's relegation rival, were already celebrating before the fourth official started 4 minutes of extra time, which would be played at Brunton Park. In the last kick of the game, goalkeeper Jimmy Glass, who had signed an emergency loan deal from Swindon Town after a transfer deadline, scored from a corner kick, which he came up to in the last gasp effort to win the match. What a way to avoid relegation to Starley. Over the next 5 seasons, Carlisle were frequently in the struggle to avoid relegation to the conference, finally being relegated in 2003-04, after 76 years in the Football League. Relegation seemed inevitable since well before Christmas, with 18 of Carlisle's first 21 games ending in defeat. A revival followed under new player-manager Paul Simpson, and Carlisle actually managed to finish second from bottom in the table after York City's failure to win any of their final 20 league games, with Carlisle's relegation being confirmed when they failed to win their penultimate game of the season. Carlisle were promoted out of a non-league conference at the first time asking in 2005. Winning the playoff final at the Britannia Stadium in Stoke. Carlisle's excellent form under manager Paul Simpson continued into the following season, as they returned to the Football League with a bang, clinching the League Two title. Simpson then departed for Preston North End and was succeeded by Neil MacDonald. The following few seasons saw Carlisle achieve their highest league finishes for 22 years, and the highest average crowds for 30 years. This coincided with several seasons of the top half of League One, including a playoff finish in 2008. The 2008-09 season saw Carlisle start promisingly, but it was soon followed by one of the worst runs of form in the club's history. Because of this, manager John Ward was sacked and replaced by caretaker manager Greg Abbott, signing him permanently after he uplifted the club's form in the following games. On the 9th of January 2009, Graham Kavanagh was released by Sunderland and returned to Carlisle on a permanent basis as a player coach. Carlisle eventually avoided relegation that season. Carlisle completed 2 full seasons with Abbott at the helm and achieved comfortable mid-table finishes in both. More noteworthy were the 2 runs in the Football League trophy which took place in those seasons. The team were beaten in the final in 2010, but returned the following year with new signings, including Francois Zoko and James Berre, to win the trophy in 2011. The following season started successfully for the Cumbrians, with Rory Loy, Lee Miller and Zoko all forming a hugely successful strike partnership. They sustained considerable playoff push throughout the season, having occupied 6th place, which was the final playoff position, for a period of a season. A dip in form towards the end of the season saw the Cumbrians miss out by just 2 points to Stevenage, meaning a successful season for the Cumbrians couldn't be rounded off with an appearance in the League One playoffs. The following season began in disappointing manner. Following a number of heavy defeats, the club found themselves drafted into a relegation battle, occupying the final relegation spot for a period of a season. However, a resurgence in form in the new year following the return of target man Lee Miller and her fellow frontman Rory Loy saw Carlisle string together a number of good results to claw themselves clear of the relegation zone, eventually finishing the season in 17th position. The club retained Greg Abbott as manager, offering a 1-year extension to his current deal, whilst also extending assistant Graham Kavanagh's contract for another season. The 2013-14 season started in a disastrous style, with a 5-1 home defeat against Leyton Orient, in which striker Lee Miller was sent off for violent conduct. A 4-0 drubbing away at Bradford City followed, before another 4-0 defeat at the hands of Coventry at home, before scraping points against Colchester and Brentford. Another heavy defeat in the League Cup followed as Championship side Leicester City secured a 5-2 victory at Brunton Park, before a narrow 1-0 home defeat to Port Vale spelled the end of Abbott's 5-year reign as United manager. Just 2 points from 6 games had been the final straw for the club's board. Following Abbott's sacking, assistant manager Graham Kavanagh was installed as caretaker manager, appointed on a permanent basis on the 30th of September 2013, signing a 2-year contract. Following 3 straight league wins under Kavanagh and some much improved performances, Kavanagh was installed as permanent boss on a 2-year deal. On the 3rd of May 2014, Carlisle were relegated, ending an 8-year spell in the 3rd tier, having finished 22nd, following a disastrous run of results under Kavanagh, meaning the club would compete in League 2 for the 2014-15 league season. Kavanagh removed assistant manager Davy Irons from his post as assistant manager early in pre-season, as work to overhaul the playing, the back and room staff was underway in Kavanagh's project to turn Carlisle into a top footballing side. Graham Kavanagh was sacked on the 1st of September 2014 following a winless start to the season. A 5-0 away defeat to newly promoted Cambridge United proved to be the final straw, alongside a record run of 15 league matches without a win for the club, ultimately culminating in Kavanagh being removed from his role as manager. He left the club having one of the worst records of any manager in the club's history, with a win ratio of only 25% and a relegation under his name. On the 19th of September 2014, Keith Curle was appointed as the Carlisle United manager, along with his former assistant Colin West. They signed a deal until the end of the 2015-16 season. Curle got off to a flying start, winning his first full match as a manager 1-0 against fellow strugglers Tranmere Rovers. This was followed by a 3-0 victory over rivals Hartlepool United and another home 3-0 victory against Stevenage. The run of form lifted Carlisle from the foot of the table and out of the relegation zone. The surge in form soon petered out, however, and United again found themselves near the trapdoor of the Football League's basement division. 7 points from 3 games towards the back end of the season meant that Carlisle secured their Football League safety with 2 games to spare, following a 2-0 home victory over promotion-chasing Plymouth Argyle. Just 4 days after a courageous 1-1 draw away at champions Burton Albion. The next season was a much better one, but not enough for a promotion push, with the team finishing 10th. The highlight of the season was a visit to Anfield for the 3rd round of the League Cup, and a famous 1-1 draw against Giants Liverpool, but lost 3-2 on penalties. The first half of the 2016-17 season was excellent for the club, with just 1 loss against then bottom Newport County in their first 23 league fixtures. The playoffs seemed almost guaranteed. However, a disastrous sequence followed, with only 4 wins in the next 21 games, including 10 losses, resulting in a drop from 2nd to 10th with only 2 games remaining. But a comeback home win against Newport County, combined with favourable results elsewhere, were enough to put them back into the playoff positions. Then another comeback at playoff-bound Exeter City in the last game proved enough for a final position of 6th, and a playoff semi-final showdown with the same opponent. However, Exeter beat them 6-5 on aggregate to condemn Carlisle to another season in League 2. Keith Curle left Carlisle United at the end of the 2017-18 League 2 season, after over 4 years in charge, and he was replaced by John Sheridan. On the 4th of January 2019, John Sheridan resigned as Carlisle manager in order to become manager of National League side Chesterfield, with the club in the last playoff position. Sheridan was replaced by Stephen Presley, if you want to call him that, who saw the Cumbrians finish the season in 11th place. In November 2019, Presley was sacked with the Cumbrians in 19th place. Presley was replaced by Chris Beach, but the 2019-20 season was cancelled due to the COVID-19 pandemic, with the Cumbrians in a disappointing 18th place. Beach then set about the task of rebuilding the squad following a disappointing 18th place finish, bringing in a raft of new signings and developing a new football system. The 2020-21 season started in positive fashion for the Blues, with the club sitting top of the table at Christmas. However, this resulted in Beach's signing a new contract extension. However, a string of weather-based postponements combined with COVID-19 infections throughout the squad meant that only 1 fixture was completed in 8 weeks from January until late February. The postponements meant Carlisle had to play Saturday, Tuesday every week until the end of the season. A poor run of form saw the side slip from the top to 14th in the table. However, results picked up towards the end of the season, seeing the Cumbrians finish in 10th place. The 2020-21 close season saw a number of first-team regulars depart for Blues, including club captain Nick Anderton, goalkeeper Paul Farman and winger Amari Patrick. Beach set about again rebuilding his squad for the 2021-22 season to try and mount a further promotion push. On the 10th of October 2021, manager Chris Beach was sacked due to a poor run of form for Carlisle and replaced with Keith Millen on the 26th of October 2021. In the January transfer window, Millen brought in a number of players, including club favourites Amari Patrick and Jamie Devitt. But unfortunately, Millen could not turn the Blue season around, and after a 3-0 defeat at home by Swindon Town and a run of bad results, Keith Millen was sacked on the 23rd of February 2022. Paul Simpson was announced as the new manager on the same day, and Simo led the Blues to 8 wins, 1 draw and 6 defeats, which was enough to pull the club away from relegation zone and keep Carlisle in the Football League. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please subscribe if you're new around here, and thank you for all those who have this week, or last week I suppose it is. As I said, I pre-recorded these. I'm going to be doing my predictions of the League One upcoming season immediately after this, but it'll be uploaded on Friday. And I may or may not be able to do a history of your club. That depends what time I'm back. But goodbye for now.